Hey. Welcome. So for everyone watching online, we've started our Vilap Kusumanjali course that goes along with our Vilap Kusumanjali book. We've published the first edition and now we are working on the second edition, which will be coming out soon. So these lectures are given on the basis of that second edition of our Vilap Kusumanjali book. So if you are interested in getting that book, please go over to kripa.tv and click on the register page and sign up for the Kripa Book Club. Alright, so we'll just jump right in. Radhe Radhe. So, the first day, when we were discussing about Raghunatha Das Gosvami, we talked about his early life, his childhood, how he grew up in Adi Saptagram and his pastimes there, how he met Nityananda in Panihati and received his blessings, how he met with Mahaprabhu on the different occasions, how he would meet with Haridas, how his guru was Yadunandan Acharya. So we heard those pastimes. Then the next day we talked about Raghunatha Das Gosvami. We heard about his pastimes in Jagannath Puri, how he stayed for 16 years under the shelter of Swarup Damodar in Jagannath Puri. Every day he would hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his pastimes in the Gambhira. He would serve there. We heard about his renunciation. We heard about how he would perform feasts for the devotees with the wealth that was given by his father. And even though he would give these feasts, he himself was very renounced and didn't take anything like that. We heard how he was given the Govardhan Shila by Mahaprabhu and the Gunjamala. Alright, and then today we will hear about how his pastimes in Braj went on. Because we stopped at this point where Mahaprabhu and the Goswamis entered Nitya Lila. So, Mahaprabhu and his main associates entered Nitya Lila. So when Raghunatha Das Gosvami went to Braj, so this is all leading up to how he wrote Vilap Kusumanjali, and then we're going to actually start memorizing the verses. So this is just laying like a foundation. So when Raghunatha Das Gosvami left Puri, he went to Vrindavan. First he was thinking actually that he would give up his life, because he was so absorbed in separation from Mahaprabhu. He thought he would give up his life, and he wanted to jump from Giriraj and thus give up his life. He wrote one verse saying that Giriraj now, that Giriraj, who is our life and soul, appears like the gaping mouth of a tiger waiting to devour me, and Radhakund appears like the mouth of a python waiting to swallow me up. Haribo.
The first time I have to show them the way.
Yeah, good. No problem. We're just starting, actually. We were just revising. So we need some bigger seat. Is your chatter?
I don't know who's there.
Okay, no problem. So we basically revised how we heard. We were revising the the childhood pastimes of Raghunath in Adi Saptagram. We just discussed that. And then we discussed the pastimes of Raghunath in Jagannath Puri. And now we're just starting to discuss the pastimes of Raghunath in Braj. If you look at his life is connected to Puri, Navadvip, and Braj Mandal. And there's like 3 sections of his life. Okay, no problem. So we'll continue. So when he arrived in Braj, he had this mood of committing suicide, actually. We see many Vaishnavas sometimes get this mood. But ultimately the Lord does not support this. And he always intervenes. One time Murari Gupta wanted to give up his life because Mahaprabhu was always talking about serving Radha Krishna in Braj, but his heart was always absorbed in love for Ramchandra. And so one time he kept a knife under his pillow one night, thinking the next day he would kill himself. He was also like a doctor. So then Mahaprabhu came early that morning and he asked Murari Gupta very affectionately, "Oh, do you love me? Yes. Will you do anything for me? Yes." And he said, "Will you promise me?" "What?" "Never kill yourself." He said, "Everything is mine." "Yes, everything is mine." "Okay, will you give me that knife under your pillow?" So the devotees sometimes have this mood, but the Lord always stops it. Even Gurudev said one time in his tour that if you are not able to perform bhakti and chant Harinam like at least 32 rounds a day, then you should jump in the Pacific Ocean. And people think that's very strange and harsh, but basically these are showing our moods, that we should have this mood of do or die. the Lord won't let us die, but we have to have this mood of do or die, that we'll achieve it or we'll give up our life. And then the Lord will always save us. He will not let us actually do that. And we should not try to imitate that. Also, we see there's a pastime of one Babaji Maharaj, I think Madhusudan, I forget, Madhusudan maybe, where he was praying to find his Gurudev. He's the Guru of Raghunatha Das Babaji Maharaj. And in childhood he got initiation, but he didn't remember his Guru's name. So when he came to Braj, he was searching for his Guru. He couldn't find his Guru, couldn't remember his name or the mantra. So he said, I'm going to jump in Surya Kund and give up my life. And then when he was going to do that, then Radharani herself came to him in a dream and said, this is your Guru's name, this is the mantra, don't give up your life, do bhajan. I don't want you to give up your life. So this happened. Also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he was doing bhajan in Radha Kund, he couldn't understand the Kam Gayatri mantra because it said it has 24 and a half moons, each syllable. One is a half syllable, and they're each representing like a moon on Krishna's body. So he couldn't understand which one was the half syllable. It's a long pastime, we'll discuss fully in another time. But it said he was thinking to jump in Radha Kund and give up his life, but then Radharani herself, along with Krishna, came and told him where he could find this explanation of the Kam Gayatri, where it says there's 24 and a half moons, and which all the moons are. So we see that pastime with Vishwanath also. And then finally Raghunatha Das Gosvami himself, he was thinking, I'll give up my life by jumping from Giriraj. So when he went to Braj, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami understood his heart, and they said, don't give up your life. Particularly Sanatana Goswami told him that he said, Sanatana Goswami also had a similar desire. It's very interesting. A lot of our great acharyas had this mood come at some point in their life. Taking one's own life is a very strong measure, it's a very intense and strong measure. Sometimes Vaishnavas just feel like I should leave my body. Not that they will take their own life, but they feel like we should leave. A few months ago at Gurudev's Virahatiti, Prabhuji was saying how difficult it is to stay here in separation from Gurudev, and how he just prayed that quickly he could give up his body and go to Braj and be with Gurudev. So sometimes the Vaishnavas have this mood. So even Sanatana Goswami, he told Raghunatha Das Goswami, when I was in Jagannath Puri, one time I traveled from Braj for months through the Jadikanda forest, and I contracted a great illness. And I had sores all over my body that were oozing pus and blood and worms. And every day Mahaprabhu would come and embrace me. And I was feeling very sad that the Lord is touching my contaminated body. So he thought that when Rath Yatra comes, then I'll jump under the wheels of the Rath cart and give up my body. We're talking about how different examples of acharyas who have this mood to give up their life unless they achieve their goal in bhajan. So Sanatana Goswami said, I thought that I would give up my life under the Rath wheels. And actually it's a custom, not a custom, but sometimes people will do this because they hear, if you're giving up your body while looking at the Lord, then you'll get liberation, or if you're under the chariot of the Lord, you'll get liberation. So they think, throw my body under the carts of Jagannath. So Sanatana Goswami had this idea, and then Mahaprabhu also came to him one day. So Sanatana Goswami told this story to Raghunath Das. He said, I also had a similar desire. He told this story. He said, I was thinking to give up my body, but Mahaprabhu came one day and said, oh, Sanatan, are you mine? He said, have you offered yourself to me? He said, yes. Then if you are mine, then your body is also mine. So you don't have any right to give up your body without my permission, because it is my body. I said, Manas deho geho, joki chumor, arpiya tua pare, nanda kishore. Oh, Krishna, when I've surrendered unto you, then I give you my body. Manasa, deha, my mind. Manasa, mind, deha, joki chumor, whatever I possess, my family, my property, everything I possess is yours. Do as you like with it. So Mahaprabhu said, if you've offered yourself to me, then this is no longer your choice to give up your body. Your body is mine, so don't give up your body. I don't want to do this. But Sanatana was very sad that the Lord every day embraced him, even though he was covered in oozing sores. And he would try to run away, but Mahaprabhu would forcefully catch him. And Mahaprabhu wanted to show that the devotee is always pure and auspicious. Even externally there may be some fault or flaw every day. So Mahaprabhu would embrace. And one day when he embraced him, then Sanatana, after he was embraced, he appeared in a very golden, effulgent form. And then he was even said like resplendent and golden and effulgent like Mahaprabhu himself. So Mahaprabhu said that you should never think the Vaishnava is mundane and ordinary. Vaishnava jati buddhi. If you think the Vaishnava is mundane and ordinary and you criticize them, then you are already said to be residing in hell or in a hellish condition. So Sanatan told this story to Raghunath and said, you should not give up your life. You should instead, while you have life, perform bhajan. This is actually the lesson. If we give up our life, then we have to go through, if we have like a high level of bhajan, then we'll continue our next life in bhajan. But if we're on a lower level, then we become like a ghost. Because it said, until your karma is over for this particular body, you cannot leave to another body. So if you take your life, if you commit suicide, then what happens is, until that karma for that body is finished, then you'll have to live as a ghost. Which means you're in the subtle body, which is like a spirit body, but you're always attached to that gross body or wherever you lived, or there's people around that body, so you will stay in that area. That's what ghosts do. Like ghosts stay in the house that they were living in before. And sometimes if they give up their life in a very gross way, then they'll have to stay a ghost for a long time, actually, until they get some kind of liberation. Or if they committed sinful activities, they'll have to stay a ghost for a long time, like Gokarna. It's a long story, but Gokarna had a brother who was very sinful, and he was killed by prostitutes. And then he was a ghost for a long time. And he was only liberated by hearing 7 days of Bhagavad Gita, even as a ghost. One day he came to his brother, who was a Bhagavat speaker, and he prayed to him, please liberate me. So he said, okay, you're in a gross, subtle body, so I have to arrange that you become in some kind of physical body. So as a ghost, you should enter inside this piece of bamboo that has 7 knots. And stay inside that bamboo stick. And every day I'll speak the Bhagavatam to you, and for 7 days you hear it. So every day he heard the Bhagavatam, and one of these knots would explode. And by the last day, the last one exploded, and he got liberation and entered the spiritual world. So if you're a ghost, then you have to perform some special kind of bhakti activity that will free you from that condition. So better not to give up your own body. Instead, while you're alive, you perform bhajan. This human form of life is very rare. Labdva sudurlabhamidam bahusambhavante. The human form of life is very special and rare. So instead of trying to give up your life, while you have life, engage your energy and your time in bhajan, in Krishna bhajan. And as much as you can progress in Krishna bhajan in this life, then when you start the next life, you will continue from that point until you ultimately achieve salvation. But if you try to give up your life instead, then you create like a big obstacle in your spiritual development. So the Vaishnavas show us these pastimes that they apparently develop this mood, knowing that sometimes devotees may become hopeless in the performance of their bhajan. But they show these pastimes as a lila, as they're part of their pastime, even though they're nityasiddha, eternally perfect. They show it as a pastime for us to show us that we shouldn't do it. And that if we try to do it, it's not going to be beneficial. And never do we find in their pastimes that they actually did it. They never did it. And also, Krishna or the sadhus or Mahaprabhu always intervened and said, stop. So all these pastimes, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's pastime like that, Radharani stopped him. Mahaprabhu stopped Sanatan. Sanatan stopped Raghunatha Das Gosvami. So, that's in Murari, yeah, we told that story. Yeah. We told that story a minute ago. Murari Gupta had the knife under his bed. So Mahaprabhu also stopped Murari Gupta. So Murari Gupta, Sanatan, Raghunatha Das Gosvami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. At some point, they all had this mood that I'll give up my body, but Mahaprabhu said don't. And he stopped them. Okay, so now we'll go forward. So he told Raghunath Das, you should not give up your body. Instead, stay in Braj and start performing bhajan as you were in Puri. So Raghunath Das Goswami started staying in different places in Braj in different times. But most of the time he stayed in Radhakund. And he would stay on the bank of Radhakund and do his bhajan. So there are many interesting pastimes that happen there. We'll cover a couple. It said that one time Sanatana Goswami came to see him because they were like the elder brothers. So occasionally they would come and visit one another. One thing is that Prabhuji says, why didn't they all stay in one ashram together? Rupa Goswami stayed at Terkaramba. Sanatana Goswami stayed at Pavan Sarovar. Sometimes in other places, sometime under different trees every night. Raghunatha Das Goswami stayed at Radhakund. So he said, sometimes if we're all staying together, then time gets wasted in just talking. And if we're a little bit separate, then we engage in bhajan. But if we're always staying in one room, always together, then vas like birds, in the morning, like tweeting, Nowadays, the society is very close together through social media. Even though we may be in a room alone, on social media we have hundreds and thousands of friends and other people that we're following and tweeting and messaging. And then when will we do bhajan? So we should understand this is a form of wasting time. Now, the Goswamis, they would spend time together when they wanted to discuss Harikatha. So sometimes Sanatana Goswami would come to Rupa Goswami and they would speak Harikatha all day long. And so that's not wasting time. So if you're using this for speaking Harikatha, it can be okay. But generally, these things are used for social gossip and things like that. Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami would become so absorbed in Harikatha, the whole day would pass without them noticing the time go by. And it's said that if you're engaging your time in hearing Harikatha or speaking Harikatha, then you'll become immortal. It said, Ayur harati vaipungsam udyanastan chayanaso, that with the rising and setting of the sun and moon, the lifespan of all creatures is taken away. But except for those who are hearing Harikatha, who are constantly engaged in Harikatha and Kirtan, then they become transcendental to time. So this is how we become transcendental to the effect of time. That's why we have classes now, early morning, and then the girls are doing Kirtan in class after breakfast, and then afternoon, and then evening time, and then Kirtan and Harikatha is going all day long. So this is the way to transcend time. So we'll just go back to the pastimes of Raghunath, right? So Raghunath, he was staying at Radhakund, and sometimes Sanatan came to see him. Sanatan saw that one time, when he came to see him, Raghunath was so absorbed in chanting Harinam, chanting and chanting, completely oblivious to his surroundings. So he saw that two tigers were drinking water from Radhakund, because this was like 500 years ago, so it was still a very rural forest area. So tigers were drinking water like a few feet away from Raghunath. And he got very worried for Raghunath, thinking if they get hungry, then they'll just eat Raghunath. But Raghunath is very skinny because he barely eats anything, so maybe the tigers were thinking, oh, he's just very skinny, we won't take him. But also, really, what is the reality is that if someone has pure bhakti, then their nature will exude out of their bodies into other creatures, and they will also develop their sweet-natured moods. We see this in the story of Agastya Muni, a great sage. In his ashram, when Ram went to his ashram, when he was in the forest, he saw that in his ashram there were deer and tigers, rabbits and squirrels and birds and cats, all living together without having any mood of violence towards one another. So wherever Mahabhagavata is present, we hear other pastimes of great sages who live in... We see great sages always live in the forests, where there are many wild animals, but they are never disturbed by the animals. Because of their bhakti, the animals don't disturb them. They can sense this. And their hearts also will change. Like when Mahaprabhu is going through the Jadikan forest, Mahaprabhu said, chant Hare Krishna. And all the tigers and deers embraced each other and wept and licked and kissed each other. Even tigers and deer were kissing and embracing and chanting Haribo, Haribo. So this is by the power of the pure devotee, or in Mahaprabhu's case, the power of God himself. So even Raghunath was sitting there, the tigers were there, they weren't disturbing him. They can live peacefully together. But Sanatan, because he was like the elder brother, or also like an uncle, then he was concerned for his welfare, and afterwards he requested him to stay inside a hut and do bhajan there, so it would be a little bit protected. But Raghunath was not interested in doing any of this endeavor externally. He was just sitting there, he would sleep under a tree, he would chant his Harinam on the side of the Ganga, he would beg some bhiksha, and every day he would take like a palm full of buttermilk or a few chickpeas. That's all he would take in this day. So another time Sanatana Goswami came and he saw that it was very hot in the summertime, and Raghunath was sitting on the bank in the hot sun, and Sanatana was worried that he may get some kind of stroke or something because of the heat. And as he was watching, then one day he came and he saw that a young girl was holding her chadar over him, protecting him from the sunlight. And she herself was standing in the sun, like a young Kishori, young gopi. But he just looked like a young, very beautiful but young, like village girl, And she was holding her chadar over Raghunath, but he was oblivious. He was just chanting with his eyes closed, tears falling down his eyes, absorbed in Harinam. So Sanatan realized, and he saw his Ishvari. This is none other than Srimati Radhika. And she herself is protecting her devotee. The devotee is doing bhajan. It said that in the Gita, Krishna says that Tesha Nitya Abhyuktanam, that Ananyas Chintayantamam Yejana Paripasitam Tesha Nitya Abhyuktanam Yoga Kshema Vahamyam. I always protect my devotees if they are one-pointedly absorbed in me. But this shows that Raghunatha Das Gosvami is not Krishna's devotee. Actually, he's Radharani's devotee. Because Radharani is protecting him. Krishna is not there. Radharani is protecting him, holding her chadar over him, protecting him, like giving him shade, like an umbrella. So Radharani is more kind and more sweet and more gentle and more soft than even Krishna. And she herself, being a little like Kishori, she is enduring the sunlight but protecting her Raghunath, her Rati. So Sanatana Goswami saw that, and after that he asked the villagers who lived there to prepare a straw hut for Raghunath. And after the straw hut was prepared, he requested Raghunath, please, you stay in the hut to do your bhajan. Even Swamini is now coming every day to protect you from the sun. So please stay in the hut, because Swamini is very busy in Krishna Seva. She has to cook, and she's in the forest and playing with Krishna. So we shouldn't disturb Swamini and have her serve ourselves. So this pastime happened. So these are some of the sweet pastimes that show his internal absorption. That not just we think, oh, he's just chanting, but actually this also shows that Radha and Krishna are not just some figment of our imagination. They are real and they can come before us. Also in the pastime of Rupa and Sanatan, where they're discussing Harikatha all day, Rupa had the mood to serve Sanatan some prasadam, but he had nothing to give. So Radharani herself came and made sweet rice, and they offered that. So Radharani can also come directly in our lives, but it depends on how deep and one-pointed we are in our bhajan. Alright, so then one more interesting pastime of Raghunatha Das Gosvami. It's said that, well, there's two pastimes we'll tell. One is that he would always receive Rupa Goswami's books. When Rupa Goswami wrote his manuscripts, he would give them afterwards. Jiva Goswami would take a manuscript and he would read over it. But also Raghunatha Das Goswami was given a manuscript. And it said Raghunatha Das Goswami would read the books of Rupa Goswami that were filled with the moods of separation. And he would weep so uncontrollably that his tears would come over the text as he was reading it. And then the ink would start to get like smeared so that it would mess up, it would not be legible, right? So Rupa Goswami is thinking, every time I give him a book to read, as he's reading it, he's crying so much that the book is becoming spoiled. At that time they would write on different leaves or different kinds of paper from trees. Like normally paper comes from trees, but this is unrefined. Like some kinds of tree have a certain kind of bark that will peel off and you can write on it. And they write on it they didn't have regular ink, so they would have like peacock feather or some kind of quill, and they would make inks out of different minerals or like pomegranate juice. They would make a mixture like that and they would use that for ink. Different kinds of fruits also have a very dark color, or there's different kinds of minerals you can find. So then Rupa Goswami thought he gave him one of his books that was very sad, like Hamsa Duta, which is very sad about the gopis' moods of separation from Krishna when Krishna is in Mathura. And after he gave that, Raghunath was always very sad and lamenting. So then Rupa Goswami thought, okay, I have to give him a happy book. So he wrote this book called Dan Keli Komodi, which is all about the very funny pastimes of Radha and Krishna, how they're always laughing and joking, and Dan Gati and these kind of pastimes. So then when he got that book, then he became very happy and he was laughing. And so we see how absorbed he was in these moods and these pastimes. For us, we read and it's like we're not so affected. But simply reading a book talking about Radha's separation from Krishna, he would become inconsolable in his separation and he would weep constantly. And until he got a book describing the pastimes of meeting, then he would not become happy again. So then another time it said that he maintained his life there only by drinking this little bit of buttermilk or a few chickpeas. He lived very austerely. He didn't give any time for maintaining his body. Instead, he was always absorbed in his ecstasy of his bhajan. So it said that one time he got a bloated stomach. We've heard this story from Prabhuji. He got a very big bloated stomach. And he was showing some discomfort. And when different villagers would come for his darshan, they saw that he had this bloated stomach because he only wears like one simple little chadar, and a small cloth lower on the waist. They saw, why does he have this bloated stomach? He's always very thin, and he only eats a bit of buttermilk from us every day. So they asked him what happened. He said, I feel some discomfort. I have a big bloated stomach. So they called this Ayurvedic doctor to see him. And the Ayurvedic doctor came and checked, and he said he must have eaten some very rich protein kind of food. And I see these kinds of symptoms come to people who eat like almonds, sweet rice. Somehow he knew. Ayurvedic doctors, if they're very expert, they can just feel your pulse and tell you, you're a little bit depressed and you should take this herbal medicine because it will lift your spirits, or you have a little bit of fatty liver, They can tell exactly what the problem is. So he took Raghunath's pulse and checked his stomach and said, oh, he took some almond sweet rice. Like, you can make one kind of sweet rice where you boil the milk down. It's actually not rice inside. In the English, we just call it sweet rice, but really it's called kheer. Kheer means cooked down milk made with different processes, with different spice, like sweet spices, with different nuts, or with rice also. Generally, you use rice, so therefore people say sweet rice. But really, kheer can be made in many ways. In Jagannath Puri, we find kheer sagar, which is like the ocean of condensed milk filled with islands of rasagullas. It's called kheer sagar. So this almond kheer means you boil the milk down, you take like 100 liters of milk and you boil it down to like 5 liters or 10 liters. And then you mix in powdered almonds. So it becomes very rich and tasty. So he said, oh, he took almond kheer. So everyone said, how is it possible? We know him. He is very renounced. Every day he only takes a little bit of buttermilk and maybe a few chickpeas some days. So it's not possible. No one gives it to him and he never takes it anyway. How is it possible? So they had some doubt. How could this happen? So then later they asked Raghunatha Das Gosvami what happened, and with a very simple mood, because Vaishnavas are simple-hearted. Said simple-heartedness is synonymous with Vaishnavism. So they're very simple-hearted. So Raghunatha just said very simply, oh, every morning in my mind, in my Manasi Seva, in my spiritual form, I'm making almond kheer and different kinds of kheer and other preparations. They make many things. And then they offer them to Radha and she gives to Krishna. So he said, this morning I was cooking, what does he do? There's 8 very special kinds of cows in Braj. There's different groups, but the different cows have different types of milk. And some milk is perfect for one kind of kheer, some milk is perfect for paneer, some milk is perfect for sandesh or for yogurt. So they milk different kinds of cows that give different kinds of milk. So he said, I milk this special cow, I know that she is the best cow, she makes the best kind of almond kheer. So I took her milk and I boiled it in a golden pot and it cooked it down just right, and I put in the almonds, and it made perfect kheer. And I gave it to Rupa Manjari. She took it to Lalita Saki, who gave to Radharani. And when they were in their pastimes in Surya Kund with Krishna, Radharani herself was feeding Krishna spoon by spoon. And then Krishna was feeding Radharani. And they said, wow, this kheer is so delicious. It's the best kheer we've had in a long time. So who made this kheer? So they said, oh, Rati Manjari made it. Oh, where is he? They said, actually, Raghunath. So go and give him. He's been making it every day, so you should go and give him. So Radharani sent the gopis, and they themselves went and fed this kheer prasad to Raghunath. Because Radha and Krishna, they don't like to take alone. They like to take it with all their friends, all their associates. So they gave to Raghunath, and he said, just to show that internal service is real, that they made this pastime manifest, that externally he had the symptoms of having a big bloated stomach, because he was eating very simple food, like buttermilk, and now he had taken very rich food and his body was not used to it, so he got a big bloated stomach. Really, Vaishnavas are Mahabhagavats. They never have any material kind of discomfort. But to show this, to show that Manasi Seva is real, we should not think it's just imagination. And to show that, this is very dark. What time is it? We have a few minutes. To show that this Manasi Seva is real, then they manifested this pastime. One time, it's said in the Puranas, there's a story that one time a Brahmin, every day he would cook kheer in his mind for Thakurji, for Narayan actually. He was worshipping Narayan. And every day he would cook kheer in his mind. And generally, every day he would wait for it to cool down and then offer it, because you're not supposed to offer hot food to the Lord. If it's too hot, then it may burn him. Like we can't drink boiling hot milk. You let it cool down to the right temperature. So every day he would wait for it to cool. But one day he started his Manasi Seva a little bit late. And the Lord, he takes prasad at a certain time, and it's like seva aparad, or offense in service to offer it late. So he quickly went to offer it, and he forgot to cool it down. And then right as he started the offering, he remembered that he forgot to cool it down. So he put his finger in it to see, like, also if you put your finger on the side, but you never put your nail in the offering, because the nail has so much dirt and it's not clean. So he said he didn't put his finger in it, but sometimes you can use your knuckle, and you can touch just the top of it with your knuckle. Otherwise, even better is to touch the side of the pot. And you can see how hot it is. But sometimes the pot may be hot, but the stuff inside. So anyhow, he touched it with his knuckle, and it said it was still very hot, so it burnt his finger. And then he became like shocked from it, and he woke up from his Manasi Seva. Because when you're in Manasi Seva, you're in Antardasa. You're not aware of your external surroundings, you're only internally meditating. So he woke up from his internal meditation and he saw that his finger was burnt. So actually what happened is Narayan in Vaikuntha was with Lakshmi, and Narayan began to laugh. And Lakshmi said, "Why are you laughing, Narayan?" He said, "Oh, my devotee on earth, every day he offers me this kheer, but today he was a little bit late. And he forgot to cool it down, and so he tested the temperature and it burnt his finger, and he did it in his mind. He touched it in his mind, but when he woke up, he saw that his finger had been burnt. So then he became surprised. So seeing that, I thought it was funny and I was laughing. So then Lakshmi was surprised and she wanted to go see that devotee. So it said Lakshmi and Narayan both went and saw that devotee and gave him liberation. So therefore we should never think Manasi Seva is fiction. It's very powerful, and that's why Prabhuji especially emphasizes this process, that we should start the process of Manasi Seva. In Manasi Seva there's no external difficulty also. Like in Manasi Seva you can make a beautiful kitchen and you can be cooking with gold pots and the best ingredients and very expertly and quickly, and no external disturbances there. You just have to purify your mind by the process and then focus and concentrate the mind, and then you can do anything you like. You shouldn't reveal your inner bhajan to people, but you'll see. People can see this from experience. Like if you're outside the Dham, outside Sadhu Sangha, maybe in your own countries, but really you want to be back there and you want to serve them in some particular way. If you start the process of Manasi Seva in your mind praying, "Oh, I want to be in the Dham with the Vaishnavas, I want to cook for them, I want to serve them," and you do it in your mind every day, "Oh, I'm in the Dham, I'm cooking for them, I'm serving them," in a very short time, that power of that Manasi Seva or internal absorption will pull you to the Dham, into Sadhu Sangha, and you'll become engaged in these services directly. Definitely. This is the power of this Manasi Seva. The power of the mind absorbed in bhajan. So you shouldn't have doubt about this. Vaishnavas always talk about the glory of this Manasi Seva, and we see many more examples. Raghunatha Gosvami Maharaj, when he was in his elderly pastimes, before he left this world, then for a couple of years he stopped speaking. Only when Prabhuji went he would speak with him, otherwise he wouldn't speak. And so one time his sevaks would ask him, "You're not also taking prasadam or anything?" He said, "What can I do? I'm so busy. Like my Ishwari, Thakurani, she's giving me so many sevas to do, Guru Sakhi is giving me so many sevas to do, and you're trying to engage me in these external activities, eating. So what should I do? Should I listen to Swamini or listen to you?" So he was always absorbed in his internal service, and naturally his body was maintained. And if he takes anything, only a very little bit. And also, Vaman Goswami Maharaj told that there are many magical pastimes about Vaman Goswami Maharaj actually, but said that he would take a little bit, and sometimes his disciples would ask him, "You're eating so little." And he said, "What can I do? I have thousands and thousands of disciples, and every home they're offering something to me, and so I'm taking a little bit of every home, like one spoon from everyone, and therefore I can only take one spoon from you also." So this shows that it works not for sadhakas also. That the process of Manasi Seva works obviously for the Nitya Siddhas, they're internally related. But even for sadhakas, ordinary practitioners, that if they offer something to their guru, when we make an offering, this is one kind of Manasi Seva. We're directly offering it, but if we don't offer it in the mind also, it's not complete offering. Like when we do archan for the deities, first we do internal archan, Manasi archan, in the mind, and then we do it externally. And when we offer bhoga, first we offer it in the mind, and then we offer it directly with the mantras. So when you offer it like that to Guru, then Guru himself will take it. And therefore you see sometimes Guru is like very healthy, sometimes even big, stomach, but they eat very, very little. Prabhuji eats like teeny bit. You see Prabhuji eating like a little bit of this, one spoon of that, one spoon of that. But Prabhuji is very strong and healthy, and all day parikrama, cooking, talking with devotees, making garlands, dancing in kirtan, but never tired. And if we try to eat a little bit like that, we become very tired because we are not Mahabhagavat that Radha Krishna are feeding us directly or disciples are feeding us. So we have to take a lot of prasadam. So this is showing that Manasi Seva is real and we should start this process. And when we study the Vilap Kusumanjali verses, these verses are showing us how to do Manasi Seva. Not on the preliminary stage. We talked about the preliminary stage being meditating on the pastime places and going there and serving there. But in Vilap Kusumanjali, we're going to learn how to do Manasi Seva of serving Radharani directly. Arranging for her bath, arranging for her outfit, a cloth, and serving in the kitchen with her. So we're going to learn all that stuff. So we'll just stop in a few minutes now. Basically, what was the last pastime I want to discuss? Yeah, I think that covers like the basic pastimes of Raghunath in Braj, and then we didn't get time to cover today. Like we were going to cover how it led up to the point of him writing Vilap Kusumanjali. So basically, when he was very old, he started his intense desire to be in Radha Krishna Lila and serving Radharani began to increase more and more and more. And it's said that this Vilap Kusumanjali is like an offering of flowers, which are prayers for the service of Radharani. So it said Pushpanjali means an offering of flowers. Like when you offer glorification of a personality on their appearance or disappearance day, it says you're offering Pushpanjali. Anjali means an offering of Pushpa flowers. So this Vilap Kusumanjali is not Vilap Pushpanjali. One thing is Pushpanjali and one is Kusumanjali. It's a little bit different. Kusumanjali is more sweet, and actually it's more full of deep prayer and longing. Pushpanjali is like you're offering flowers, glorifying. But Kusumanjali is you're offering these flowers as prayers, and you're praying for that attainment of your desired loving service to Radharani. And with Vilap. Vilap means with great lamentation and with great longing, with great yearning. So our book, Vilap Kusumanjali, is called a bouquet of woeful entreaties. Entreaty means a kind of prayer, and woeful means with lamentation. And it's a bouquet, why? Because it's 104 flowers. Vilap Kusumanjali is 104 verses. And so it's described to be 104 flowers that he offered to Radharani. And in the end he says, I'm offering this Kusumanjali, this bouquet of flowers to you, Radharani, praying that you accept me into your service. So we'll stop here.